Everyone, welcome to another episode of Transformation Time. Every Thursday, I host an episode of either Transformation Time or Behind the Scenes. My name is Diana Lizarazo, and today's guest speaker is Alfonso Cuadra. He is the godfather of multifamily. On Transformation Time, you'll get to hear about their journeys, the personal development journeys they've had to go through, the mindset shifts they've had to go through, and the fun part even is their future. What are their big goals and what changes they're doing right now to meet those big goals? So I'm so excited to have Alfonso on. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully he can get on. He said he couldn't see me for some reason, so hopefully he'll see me. But another technical issue we're having is if my screen is moving, is actually because I'm holding on to it right now because I broke my clip thing that holds on to it. So hopefully it's not too much of a big deal. I'm going to try to move as little as possible, and definitely we'll have this fixed for the next time. But another thing I wanted to share with you is if you're interested in being on my show for either Transformation Time or Behind the Scenes, then definitely send me a DM, because like that, if you want to share your personal development journey, come on. I mean, DM me, we'll have meetings, either ones we have meetings, but you'll get to share your journey. Same thing. If you have a specific real estate project you want to talk about, same thing. DM me and we'll book you on. And I have a feeling Alfonso's still having issues trying to find me, which isn't good. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, he's having, I told him Instagram, but I don't see him on. One sec, guys. Yeah, he will come on though. He is there because I just did message him, and I did message him. But so send me. Hey Brandon. Hey Ben. Hey Mitchell. Jay Mitchell. Hey. So we are having Alfonso coming on soon. I did tell him Instagram. I just messaged him, so he is coming on, but I'm not exactly sure. Oh, you know what? Yeah, no, actually, he would still be able to come on. But yeah, I think this may be his first time coming on Instagram. Yeah, so I may have to come back on again. I may have to do like a video call. Actually, you know what? I should just do a video call with him. Make my life easier and his too, because I think this is the first time. Hey Brandon. I think this must be the first time he's, oh no, I don't know. You guys tell me. This first time I'm having him on Instagram. We usually do Zooms. But what is going on? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to come back again. Sorry for the technical issues. But I'm just going to do a video call, make my life easier so I can, oh, we have Alfonso. We got you on. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to let you, Alfonso, if you are on your computer, it won't let you come on. So, I mean, I'm going to accept it. Let's see. Does it work? Oh, it did. Okay, perfect. Hey, we made it. We happened. How are you?
You know what was going on? I was trying to log on through my laptop.
Yes.
And I guess what I learned now is you can't do lives through your laptop.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's funny. I was actually going to say the same thing. I know people try to get on with the laptop.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we were able to make this happen.
I'm here. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm so excited.
I'm hot off the presses.
Hot
I
off
just got
the
back from
presses.
Dominican.
I know. How was that?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And today, I think, in Ottawa, there's some ice storm. I don't know if you can see outside my office. It's
Oh wow.
It looks snowy.
You passed all over. You passed spring, you passed summer, you passed fall back to winter
I
again.
know. It's crazy.
So
So
thanks so
so
much for
I'm here.
coming
I'm here.
on.
I made it. I made it. Thank
Amazing.
you for having me. I know that some of your viewers were maybe waiting, or maybe you kept them entertained while I was trying to get on. But we're here. So you
Yeah,
take it
awesome.
away. You take it away.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And let's just get started with first just I'm pretty sure most of the viewers know, but still just telling the viewers a little bit about yourself, your real estate, like what you do, you as a mentor, your real estate investing, everything that you like to share. And then after that, we'll get into the personal development and mindset because I love your story.
Yeah, so if you don't know me, I don't know where you've been. I'm just joking. I came to Canada as a refugee back in the 80s. I had a tough time growing up. Ultimately, got into a lot of trouble, lived on the streets. I had a life-changing moment at 17 when I became a dad. Gave me purpose, gave me a why. I started a business at that time as a result. And by the time I was 21, that business was really successful. It was across Canada. I had made millions of dollars. And what I realized, I had no financial literacy. I didn't know how to manage money. I didn't know anything about money. And I ended up almost losing everything at 24, which was a really a wake-up call, to be honest with you, and ultimately started to read about finances, financial literacy, investing, and that's how I got into real estate. When I got into real estate, it really was about creating financial freedom for myself and creating generational wealth. And so that's why I started in multifamilies. And since then I've accumulated hundreds of doors, millions of dollars in portfolio value, and I've helped thousands of students get there as well. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, you've gone through so much. And so you were actually talking about how you started understanding, like getting, financial literacy. But what in that made you think about real estate being an avenue?
Yeah, so I had no idea that I could be ever in a position to own real estate, or besides my house, right? I remember when I was a kid, and so I grew up in social housing, right? And so in the projects with my friends, and I remember looking at these buildings from the basketball court, and I remember telling my friends, "Hey, do you know that someone collects rent on all of these apartments, and maybe we could do that?" And then my friends were like, that, that's just for rich people, right? And so I created such a distance that it never even dawned on me that that was a possibility for me, until I started to read about other wealthy people. And the common thread amongst the wealthiest people that I had read about at that time, and I was really into biographies, right? So, people that had made it, people that had created real wealth. And what I discovered was that number one, they're all investors. They're not consumers. So I was very much a consumer at that time, and so buying cars and jewelry and all that stuff. That's what I thought success was, which I was very mistaken. But ultimately, what I started realizing is the common thread amongst all the wealthiest people in the world is that they own real estate. And what I noticed was no one was talking about their duplex or triplex. The majority of the wealthiest people that I knew of, or that I learned about, or that I read about, they all had commercial real estate, big assets that produced big income. And so that was something that was like a light bulb that went off in my head. And ever since then, I've been pursuing, bigger deals.
That's amazing. And so you started off right from the beginning in the multi-units?
Well, yeah, smaller
Okay.
multis, right?
Yeah.
Smaller multis.
Okay. And so with that, then
Oh, okay. So it was still like, what was your first smallest multi? Like, was it a duplex
My
or like
first
a five
my
plus?
first deal was a duplex that I converted into a triplex. That was my first deal. And basically, what I wanted to achieve is, first of all, be able to burr the money back out. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to play. I'm trying to place my phone somewhere. Hold
I
on.
hear you. I'm also having technical difficulties today. My clip broke, so I can't. I
Oh,
have to hold
this is
mine
too low, but
too.
I'm just gonna hold it. It's probably better.
Mhm.
So ultimately, what I did was I wanted to figure out how to live for free. So that was my first step. Like how to live for free and how to do a deal and refi the money back out. So what I did was I bought a duplex that I converted into a triplex. I moved into one of the units. So essentially, I was living for free. And then I refied the money back out. So I was able to take the money instantly and roll to my next deal. My second deal was a 7-unit apartment building.
Oh, wow. And so what gave you the confidence? Because even so, I feel like when talking to lots of new investors, especially, like I feel like you had a lot of confidence because I feel like, for example, a lot of people will start, let's say, with a buy and hold or even like a duplex that's already existing. Like a lot of people find the whole getting the renovations done like it to be scary or like to add another unit. What gave you the confidence or what didn't worry you about, being doing a conversion and getting a triplex?
Well, you know, there's two things. One, there's power in urgency. So if you guys are, I know this is Instagram Live, but if you're taking notes, I want you to take those notes. There's power in urgency. So, I was in a situation in my life at that time. I was 24 years old, and my business wasn't doing well, and it wasn't because of the business, the economy. It was because I was just a bad manager at that time. I didn't know about business. I didn't know how to reinvest my capital, and so I was in a position where I had no choice but to be successful, right? And
Mm.
two, I was determined. There was no way I was going to fail because in my mind, I just put in my mind, I'm going to do this. And when someone is determined, they're willing to do what they have to do when they have to do it, no questions asked. And so that's the kind of mindset that I had. And then
I love
ultimately,
that.
the last one is mentorship, right? So
Hmm.
what I did was like now there's so much education out there. There's YouTube University. You know, I'm going to sound like an old person, but YouTube didn't exist. When I started. The online. Of course, we had the internet, but there was no online marketplace. You couldn't go find people online like you do today. The marketplace was the classified sections in the newspaper. And so I remember going through the classified sections in my local newspaper, and I remember seeing the same person's name, JV Partners, looking for rent to own, looking for hard money lending, and all these things. Some of the strategies I didn't even know what they meant, and so I called that person. I see them so many times in the classified section. I called them and I met them for coffee and I asked that person to mentor me, and he said, "Forget it, no way." And I said, "I'll make it worth your while. I'll make it worth your time." And he gave me a number, kind of to like scare me away. Yeah, have you ever got a quote from a contractor that clearly didn't want the job, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's like it's this high number, and I ended up saying yes, and basically the first strategy that I learned was the burst strategy, and I just continued to do that over and over. And each deal that I did that with, I got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So those are the three things. First of all, urgency, determination, and mentorship.
Love it. Those are great. And it is true actually. And I think, I mean, one that is very important is also the fact of that failure wasn't an option for you, which I think is incredibly important because if that is an option, that kind of lets you off the hook. You're like, oh, it's okay. So I thought that's also like a really great point. And so getting into even, let's say, when you started your businesses, because I think they kind of probably go hand in hand, what are the skills that you had that helped helped you to start the businesses, or even same thing, get into real estate? Like, what are the skills that you already had that you took advantage of?
That's a good question. So I didn't have many skills. So most of the skills that I have, I've worked on and I've developed over the years. When I was young, I had no confidence. I didn't do well in school. My teachers had me convinced that I was never going to do anything with my life. And actually, one of my principals in one of the schools that I went to had me convinced that I was going to end up in jail, right? And so I didn't have many skills. One thing that I did have is my ability to connect with people. I remember being on the playground or being at the basketball court. I was able to make friends quickly, and I think those were one of that likability factor. I know that I do have an ability to make a connection with someone and nourish that relationship over time, right? The other, I would say, it was just like I've been an industrial person since the very beginning. When I was 12, I wanted a pair of Michael Jordan shoes, and I asked my mom, and my mom said, "How much?" And I told her the price. She's like, "Mijo, estás loco?" And to translate it for you, it means like, "Are you crazy?" And obviously, she's like, "We're not going to pay for a pair of shoes what we pay for groceries for the month." And so I had to figure it out, how in the world was I going to get those shoes? Number one, if I came to school with those shoes, I will, that means that put me on the level. And so I got a trading thing. I got a paper route, and the paper route that I got was this building, 27 floors. I got this. I'm delivering papers throughout the whole building and paid $400 a month, more than enough to get myself the shoes. And what I liked about it is like it gave me independence. The problem was this was before the internet, and so you had to for the paper after school, and Saturday and Sunday mornings. And before the internet or on-demand television, this is the only time you can watch cartoons. And I love my cartoons. And so what I ended up doing is I outsourced my paper route to another kid in the neighborhood for $200 a month. So I'm paying him $200 a month, and I'm getting $200 a month residual just to manage the operation. And so I figured out that the most valuable thing in life is time. And with that in mind, that was an incredible resource that I created for myself. And so I've been very resourceful. I've been very, even in my school years, I remember, connecting with people that had skill sets that I didn't have. For example, I was really good at making people laugh and connecting with people. But when it came down to the research and the presentations or whatnot, I would definitely find my way to connecting with people that had those skills. And so I would say, number one, my likability, the connection that I can build with people, and then number two, the being resourceful, right? So I've been like since I was 12 years old.
Yeah, I feel like you were born an entrepreneur. I feel like.
It was I always tell people it was out of pure necessity, right? Of wanting something and then having to figure out how to get it. I've been like that with my kids, right? Anytime my kids, people ask me all the time, how do you teach your kids about financial literacy? Wait until they want something. Because you can't just teach them and they're just like, it's not relevant to them, right? But the second they want something, this is when you can introduce, how to become resourceful. Okay, let's figure it out. How to start a business, how to, let's sell chocolate, let's sell water or whatnot, right? And so it's basically from a necessity. And if you can learn that early on, it's going to help you for the rest of your life.
100%. That's a great tip. That is very true because it is true. If you don't need it, even if you do learn it, you'll forget about it. Or you just don't have the interest in it. So just go in one ear, out the other. But if it's something you want, then 100% you're going to figure it out and get it done. And actually, another thing I was going to say then is like that you are also a creative person. You're very creative thinking, which is, I think, is also in being an entrepreneur, I feel like is very important as an entrepreneur or as a real estate investor, is that creative thinking. And it seems like that you have that creative thinking, that you have a problem and you're going to find whatever solution you can to solve it. And so you probably will like that. Like I feel like as a kid to think about having someone else do the work, I feel like that's not like very normal for kids to think about. They'll just kind of do it, like, oh, I have to work and that's what it is, whereas you're like thinking, I don't want to work. How can I not work, Am I right or am I
Yeah.
right?
What I think you're right. Okay. So when I lived in El Salvador, okay, there was a civil war. My mom was heavily involved in that war politically, and she ended up being legally detained, uh, waiting to serve a sentence that would keep her in jail for about 40 years. And so, for fear of being kidnapped, so there was a fear of my government actually kidnapping me as a way to get my mom not to speak out or talk to the news outlets. I went into hiding with my grandparents. So they kept me inside. I wasn't allowed outside. So between the ages of 2 to 5, I was very much isolated from the world. I'd never been to a park. I'd never seen another kid. I was not allowed to interact with anybody, and so I created this whole world in my mind. Right, and my imagination was, I would think, more vibrant than most other kids because I had to play by myself all of the time, every day, and I created all these friends and this whole world that I created for myself. And so I think my imagination was really cultivated at a really young age because of that reason. And now that that I'm an adult, right? I feel that that's definitely a gift, that I have. I have problem solving.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think those you have the great combination of everything. Although I found it very interesting that you were saying, because you reminded me of someone else that I've spoken in the past about, that even you're saying when you were young you didn't have confidence, but like look at the things that you achieved at that time. And so sometimes even like for people who don't have confidence, you can still push forward and get things done. And if anything, those wins that you get will start building up your confidence. I think that was also a nice thing that you said, because I think that's probably a misconception that lots of people have. It's, like you won't do things until you have the confidence, where it's kind of like a double-edged sword, but you have to do them and get those wins, and it starts building up your confidence.
Yeah, so I didn't believe in myself at all, right? When I was young, I missed a lot of school because of, first of all, I was moving from country to country. So I was going from one war-torn country to another war-torn country. We were hiding from different regimes. So I never got to go to school like regular kids, and we were always moving from one place to another. And by the time I was in grade seven, so you're now like 12, 13 years old, it was discovered that I could read,
Mhm.
So I came here when I was 9, and the priority was learn English. But now I'm 11, 12 years old, and they're figuring it out. They're figured out. Oh, this kid can't read. So that means between the ages of 5 to 11, I almost had to fake it, or I had to memorize things. I had to pretend like I knew how to read, and I kind of got through life that way. But always with this guilty feeling of like, what, like I'm not good enough or hiding something. And then there was some tests that were done in school, and they discovered, oh, he's got a lot of learning disabilities, right? And 11 or 12, imagine they labeled me disabled,
Oh, wow.
like I'm mentally handicapped, and I had to go to a different school, and I remember it was a different bus. It was the short bus, that was outside of my district. And I remember getting picked up at home and getting on that bus. And everyone on that bus was really mentally disabled. Like, I mean, there was one kid hitting his head against the window, another kid drooling. Nothing wrong with that, but I felt like, oh, in my life, is this me now? Am I mentally handicapped like these people? And
Mm-hmm.
they had people that had zero self-worth at that point. And I remember going into this special ed class, and the teacher, I'll never forget her, Mrs. Stewart. Um, she was like, okay, everyone's going to read in front of the class. And it came to my turn to read in front of the class. And I said, well, I can't read, I told her. And she was sitting like at her desk, got up, angry, came right at me. She stood in front of my face, and I remember she smelled like cigarette. I don't know if you remember, but back teachers smoke in the school, right? And she smelled like cigarette, but she's like, don't ever let someone's opinion of you become your own. And that stuck with me for a very long time. In fact, that teacher got me to read, and what I discovered, I love to read. I just was never given the opportunity, or I never believed myself that it was possible. And so, never let someone's opinion of you or perception of you become your own. Is something so powerful that stuck with me for the rest of my life, that no matter what the odds, no matter what people thought, I always remembered that teacher, what she said, and this is why I started the youth foundation, because I want kids to build confidence, and I want them to know that no matter what the circumstances, maybe they're living in social housing, maybe their parents are immigrants or refugees or what have you. Don't allow the outside world's perspective of you or perception of you become your own, and have your own thoughts, and believe in yourself.
100%. That's amazing. That's great to hear. And you can see like how someone's like one person's like positive words can just be so impactful in your life. Because I'm sure if you didn't get that, who knows where you would be, because you didn't get someone that helped you realize that kind of a truth. Because yeah, I feel like especially in mindset, I know you're very much into mindset too. It's you start realizing like how important the words that you put inside you are. And like that, like taking out the words, or if you hear someone like having that barrier that, okay, that's your opinion, you know, like it's not gonna be me,
Yeah.
you know?
People's
So it's amazing.
people's results in life are often a reflection of the expectations of the peer groups. And so,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to change your life, change your peer groups.
100%. Yeah, completely agree. And so with all these things that you went and they were helping you to get to where you are, because even like that, basically like these things, be it like you had all these problems or things happen in your life, but they were also really building blocks to building who you are and who you've become. How like what would because what would you say then is like your superpower from all these things, like your superpower, I guess, is your personality?
Yeah, I guess that would be one of them, right?
Or
So the
what
ability.
is your like number one thing then that you feel like
I don't,
is like your superpower?
I don't know if I have one specific number one thing, but um, and it's obviously evolved over the years, and I think it's changed over the years, right? Uh, and if I can give anybody one thing to work on, is leadership. People often ask me, Alfonso, like, what's the book, like what kind of books should I read to become a better investor? And a lot of people expect me to say, real estate 101, or real estate, build your this, build the other thing. But I always tell people, listen, read about leadership and sales. Get really good at influence. So leadership is basically people, right? And so the more influence that you have, the easier it is going to be for you to navigate, the easier it is to attract deals, attract investors, and just become a magnet. And so I guess if you ask me what my superpower is, it's influence. I've become a person that has influence, and ultimately that influence opens doors, bring the deals come to the table, and I get investors. And it's going through that transition that I always teach a lot of my students, is how to go from a regular investor to becoming the real estate investor. Because if you become the investor, you attract deals, you attract joint venture partners, you attract capital. Anything, a plumber, a realtor, a mortgage broker will have to beg for the business. How do you expand your circle of influence? And so that comes from leadership, right? If you're to translate leadership, it's basically influence. And so if you can influence people, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to build your business.
That's amazing. And so when you got into becoming an entrepreneur or in real estate, what skills did you have to learn? I know one of them you said was literacy, financial literacy, but what other skills getting into it did you have to learn?
So I told you I was a likable person, but I didn't have any influence. Right? People like to have me around because I was just a funny guy, But when I started to learn about leadership, these three things that I needed to learn about: leadership, sales, and communication. Okay, so we talked about the importance of leadership and sales. The next one is your ability to stand up in front of a group of people and speak your mind. Okay, learning how to communicate with people. Um, Often people don't see the value in that, so they take a back seat. But what my mentor said to me a long time ago is that the stage is the most valuable piece of real estate that there is. From stage, people have started wars. From stage, people have ended wars. From stage, people have created change, like Martin Luther King and I Have a Dream, right? And so from stage, you're so powerful, and people don't talk about it, or the importance of public speaking and communicating. And so the second you start learning and cultivating, because it is something that you can learn. I was not born a natural communicator. I had to work on that craft. But this is what I will tell people: from the stage, you will get the promotion, you will get the job, you will get the girl, you will get the guy, you will get the investors. The person on stage always gets the business.
That's amazing. That's a great tip. Now that you're talking about that, what about if you want to share your big goals? But from your big goals, what changes are you making right now in yourself to achieve your next big 5 to 10 year goal?
I'm always consistently expanding. So a big philosophy on all the things that I do, I want to make sure I'm always consistently getting uncomfortable, because the second you start getting comfortable, you start going the other way, you start contracting. And so you can either expand or contract, but you can't do both. And so this idea of expansion is a fascinating concept to me, because it really leads me in the study of the brain, human engineering, and why is it that some humans why is it some humans achieve more than others? And for the past 15 years, I've been on this quest to learn how to get people to perform to their highest potential, right? And this is why, like, I've created thousands of millionaires, because I've dedicated the rest of my life to learning how to get people to perform. This is why I built systems, I built everything that I've built with my educational platforms and the community that I've created and all the investments. And it all comes down to this expansion and this idea that you can be anchored to numbers, things, situations. And usually that anchoring means that you are comfortable with whatever number that is. For example, there's probably a number that you plug into realtor.ca every single time. And so I'm always aware of that. And so I'm always expanding and getting uncomfortable. So, a while back, I started doing $20 million deals, $30 million deals. And I just started to stretch my mind, and I started to look at $100 million deals and $200 million deals. And then I went to look at the $10 million deals, and they seem so small. And so the idea of expansion is allowing your mind to stretch. And it's not for the goal. It's not for like the $30 million deal or the $100 million deal. It's really an exercise of stretching your brain and for you to tap into more of what you're capable of, tapping into more of your potential. And so for me, I'm always consistently expanding myself, and I'm growing, and I want to help as many people as possible. So when I look at what I'm going to look at and what my life is going to look like in the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's more in alignment with the people that have helped. So I'm looking to help 1 million plus people, right? In the next 10 years. This is where my mind goes. How can I help more and more people? Because at the end, that's what I want to be remembered for. Not the doors, not the cars, not the anything, but the people that have helped.
That's amazing. Those are amazing goals, and definitely lots of expansion going on there, because to be able to help that many people, or even on the other side, like getting yourself uncomfortable to be able to buy bigger deals than you've ever purchased. So what are you doing, let's say now, to like that? How are you helping yourself get comfortable with being uncomfortable?
So I consistently look at my goals every 90 days, and I ask myself, am I expanding or contracting? Right. So a lot of the times people look at their goals once a year or once every couple of years. This is an art. I work on this. Like it was my job, And when you look at companies like Fortune 500 companies, they go from quarter to quarter, right? And so look at yourself in your life, Fortune 500 company, and do quarterly retreats, corporate retreats with yourself or whoever are the key players on your team, and ask yourself, are you on the right track? Are you comfortable? Are you uncomfortable? Is this, sometimes the goals change, right? And you won't even realize until a few years down the line. But if you can recalibrate and change course, every 90 days if you needed to, then you know that you're growing and expanding. Other than that, if you have no metrics, nothing to measure, if you don't have a measuring stick, it's going to be very difficult to know whether you're growing or not. So every 90 days, I got to check in with myself. Am I on the right track? Am I expanding here? Are these goals still the same goals? Am I still wanting to pursue this? And then I readjust, or I continue to do the same thing, or I set up new goals.
That's amazing. That's a great tip. And it is true. It is like you want to treat yourself as a business, like you say, right? You want to do those check-ins because exactly what you say, right? Sometimes maybe they don't need to change because you're still working towards it. Sometimes you've completely done like a 90 without even realizing, and that goal kind of like, oh my God, what happened? I'm doing all these extra things that don't even go to what I'm actually trying to achieve. So thanks so much. Is there any final words that you would like to tell the viewers?
Well, all of this stuff is great, and what you're doing is amazing, but the most powerful thing that anybody can do is take action, right?
Mm-hmm.
So YouTube University is great. Instagram University is great. We can learn a lot of things, and I can give a lot of tips. But if they're just become really great tips, it's really useless. The biggest gift that someone can give me is, you know, listening to something I've said and taking action based on something I've said, or even if it's not me, it could be somebody else. You'll never be remembered in life for something you almost did. It's only the things that you do that matter. Yeah, I don't care if you read 700 books, and if you haven't done anything, it's meaningless, right? And so, you know, the most powerful thing is take one tip, read a paragraph, read a sentence of a book, and take action. You're going to get more out of that sentence or that book than reading 700 books. And so, that's the words that I'm going to leave people with here today is take action.
Love it. Totally agree. Thank you so much for coming on. It was such a pleasure to talk with you. It's always so much fun to chat with you. And if you guys want, if you guys aren't already following Alfonso, he's going to be tagged on this, so you can definitely follow him, see what he's up to. And if you guys love these shows and you love the guests I'm bringing on, follow me and you'll get to see what shows we have going on. Thank you so much, Alfonso, for coming on. It was so much fun to chat with you.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Ciao.
Bye,
Ciao.
everyone. We'll see everyone in the next episode. Bye.